Hello everybody, my name is Squid. Today I read The Tall Hare. Princess Jane hated to see her brother so sick. She has to do something. She had read in a book about potions and was determined to make one. One potion guaranteed to make the sick well. The only problem was that in order to make the potion complete, she needed a hair from a witch's toe. The witch of the forest lived in a deserted castle. Princess Jane would sneak in at night. That evening, she set out early so that she would have plenty of time to get there. In her mind, she went through all the problems she might encounter. There was no doubt she was nervous. She has learned wild stories about the witch. That night, she snuck up to the bedroom of the witch and peered over the bed. She could see her toes sticking out from underneath the covers. She gently raised her up and pulled out her tweezer. She snapped a hair and pulled back. Just then, the witch sat up and screamed, "What are you doing?" Jane was speechless. She didn't know what to say, so she responded, "Giving you a pedicure." "Well, enough of that. I made an appointment for a massage, not a pedicure. Get up here and give me a back rub." And so Jane did. There was a twinkle in her eyes as she slipped the toe hair into her purse. "Hang in there, brother," she thought. Her luck couldn't have been better. Opened up. Kristen and Ella were all decked out their Halloween costumes. Open up. Kristen and Ella were all decked out in their Halloween costumes. They were excited for the big night. They said goodnight to their parents and set out to have some fun. They started out all of the homes they wanted to do for trick or treat and then went around to see if they could find any of their friends. They met up with some girls who went to the school. There was talk that night that Jet Barrow was dressed up like Frankenstein and was pretty convincing. The night wore on, and the girls laughed and scared little kids walking by. It was starting to get late. Kristen and Ella decided that they should be heading home. They said goodbye to their friends and headed down the next street. This street was quiet for some reasons, and it made them nervous. They quickened their pace a bit. Just then, they saw someone lurking round the corner who looked like Frankenstein. Kristen let out a scream and began running. Ella was close behind. Frankenstein was yelling and calling after them. They could barely stay 2 feet ahead of him. They finally reached Ella's house and ran inside. They slammed the door shut just in the nick of time. But Frankenstein had not got away. He kept pounding on the door, saying, "Open up!" Frankenstein didn't leave until Ella Dast came home and hollered for him to leave. Ella and Kristen began to wonder if this Frankenstein was the friend Jet or if it was Rudy. At school, Jet denied it. It became the first story to share at all the slumber parties. Touch and go. Brad has been planning a fishing trip for a very long time. He loaded his gear and hiked down to the river. He set up his pole and leaned back against a rock. Just then, he felt a tug on his line like he had never felt before. He began reeling his line in and pulled as hard as he could. Out popped a fish at the end of his line. It was a big one. Brad continued to reel it in. He cut the line and took the fish hook out of the mouth of the fish. As he set it in the pail of the water, the fish began to talk. "Hey, Brett," says the fish, "you sure caught a good one, didn't you?" "What?" asked Brett in an astonished voice. "You can talk?" "I can talk," said the fish. "I can even tell your name." "You can?" asked Brett, still stunned. "I can," said the fish. "You're going to have a test tomorrow and you haven't studied for it." "Wow," said Brett as he contemplated what it might be like to have a fish that could talk and tell his future. I also know that you didn't make your bed this morning, and you'll be served broccoli tonight at dinner, stated the fish. At this point, Brett realized that he didn't really need his talking fish and threw him back into the water. He gathered his boat and getting home. He'd had enough fishing for the day. Round 'em up. Cameron loved to ride his horse, Sandy with the cowboys on the ranch. This year, they were rounding up the cows at the north end of the ranch. The terrain there was steep and rough. With the cowboys on the ranch. This year, they were rounding up the cows at the north end of the ranch. The terrain there was steep and rough. They found the cows up against the side of Bluff Mountain. Things went well, and the cow seemed to respond well to the coaxing. But just then, Uplow bolted and headed up the upside direction. Cameron swerved up to the right to try to get her. It wasn't an easy task. The cow ran faster and faster. Cameron glanced down just in time to realize that he was about to run off the ground. The cow weirdly sharply to the left, and Cameron jerked back on the reins. It was too late. He was going up the cliff, and there was nothing he could do about it. Instead of falling, they continued sailing through the air. They kept going through the air until they reached the other side. Cameron was stunned. How did they do that? He couldn't believe what had just happened. He climbed down to look at Sandy. He had a gleam in her eye. Cameron made his way back to the ranch house to meet up with the group. How did you fare? Asked Cameron's dad. Let's just say that we sailed through, said Cameron, still in shock. I knew you could do it, Cameron, said his dad. Cameron rode Sandy back to the stable. He couldn't wait to get out of the saddle.